Hi, everybody. Dan Illman, Mike Beer. The feature race on a really great card at Belmont Park on Saturday is the Grade 1 Runhappy Carter Handicap. It's race number 9, 7 furlongs, some of the top sprinters in the country in the Runhappy Carter. Before we get to the analysis, let me remind you to please try those DRF mobile pass performances. Experience classic PPs with true mobile interactive access anywhere, anytime on your phone. You get an exclusive lifetime buyer speed figure graph, and you get to access these full cards in seconds. Try those PPs. Learn more. DRF.com/MPPS. Here's the field for the Grade 1 Runhappy Carter Handicap. Again, some of the better sprinters in the country in here. You've got Firenze Fire. You've got Mind Control. You've got some big names in here, Mike. And again, you can go so many different ways.
Yeah, I think you can. I mean, you have, certainly 3, I would argue, horses who are going to be, near the top of this division throughout the year. You also have Vekoma coming back second off the layoff, and he looks like he's got a lot of upside. It's a very, very interesting race.
Let's start things off with Firenze Fire. Let's take a look at the Timeform US Pace Projector, which is Firenze Fire's favoring horses on or near the early lead. There's Firenze Fire on the lead. And if he gets this pace scenario, he's going to be very tough because we've seen Firenze Fire. You give him an easy pace scenario, he's very dangerous. He's always been a solid horse, especially at this 7 furlong distance.
Yeah, and he loves Belmont Park too. Listen, we've talked about this before. He's a very handy horse. To me, he's not a horse who ever wants to be on the lead. When we talked about the General George at the end of earlier this year, it was sort of the same thing. They had him clear on the early lead, but that's not how they rode him in the race. He broke fine, he conceded, he tracked, and he was way better than those horses. Listen, I just think he's a huge contender in here, Dan. And in a lot of ways, I think he's the horse to beat in here. He has that, I guess, a cloud hanging over his head now because he's no longer with Jason Service. I'll be surprised if that really matters. I just think he's a good horse. I think he's one of the better sprinters in the country, and I think he's going to be a handful in here.
And let's watch him put away the field in the General George, going this 7 furlongs last time out as the 1-2 favorite. Another triple-digit buyer speed figure performance for Firenze Fire. That's 4 out of his last 5 races, and he is just an honest horse. It is interesting that he does have the speed to lead these races, but they do like to take him back, and they do like to get him to the outside often. Do you think this inside post works against him a little bit?
I mean, it really shouldn't because, there's just not a lot of pace to his outside, and he is a good gate horse. So, Franco can just break him and then get him in the position that he wants to get him in. If that means he's on the lead, I guess so be it. It just seems like they don't like to ride him that way.
Performer, the number 2, is a horse going out for Shug McGahee with a tremendous amount of upside. He was exciting last year, winning his final 4 starts of 2019, including the Grade 3 Discovery. Now, the Discovery, the race we're showing right now, was at 1 1/8, and I really like the way he won this race. You see him turning into the stretch. That's a nice horse in tax at 6-5 going after him, and Performer just refuses to lose. And a lot of folks might say, well, he's one of these Shug classic types, and he's going to be, okay at longer distances. Maybe that'll be the case. He also has run some very good sprints in his career. Just look at him get away from tax late. I like that.
Yeah, he ran really well in this race. He also ran really well in his prior 3 starts, going a little bit shorter. And you're right, he's a perfectly good sprinter. I mean, this is, one of the more, I think, highly anticipated 2020 debuts from any horse because this horse had a lot of buzz about him last year. I think it was well-deserved. And I actually feel like coming back at 7 furlongs could really work for him. This horse, he's very interesting and very talented.
Still having fun. The number 3 is a horse that would not want that Timeform US Pace Projector to be correct. He's at his best when you take him back and you make one run. They tried to use his speed in the toboggan. It didn't work out. Last time out in the General George, maybe he was compromised a bit by a moderate pace, but he did a lot better. He has a race or 2 on his page that would make him a contender if the pace is hot. I'm just not sure the pace is going to be there for him here.
Yeah, agreed. It does seem like he is at his best when he can rally into a hot pace, but he is, he's shown a propensity to be tactical in some of his races. So I think that's a good thing for him. He ran fine, 2 back in the toboggan, no match for Mind Control. He ran fine last time, no match for Renze Fire. They're both back in this race.
And if you think he's a one-run closer, he's nothing compared to the 4 Nitrous, who is going to drop far, far out of the race, no matter what the pace is going to be. 4th last time out in the Count Fleet, but he just fell too far behind. The Count Fleet's been productive. It's produced a couple of next out winners. One of them, the 10th finisher, a horse that Nitrous smacked. He came back to win at Churchill Downs with a 93 buyer. But again, he needs pace.
Yeah, I agreed. I mean, I respect his consistency. I just don't really like his running style, especially in a race like this where they may not go fast early.
Network Effect for Chad Brown. He got a nice spot last time out. Chad found 100 grander for Florida Breds, the big drama, and it almost turned disastrous. Let's turn into the stretch of the big drama. Network Effect's down on the inside, and he ends up getting kind of shuffled back. But now the rail opens up, and Network Effect just asserts his class and dominance. He's just better than these horses.
Yeah, I mean, that was just a really good spot for him. And that comes off the heels of a race off the layoff there where he got very unlucky with a poor start and was probably best that day as well. You know, we'll see what happens, Dan. I guess I've been wrong about him. I've never really been a big fan of his. I think I can admit that I've been wrong about him. He's actually pretty good. I just don't like him in a race like this. I think he's in against horses that are just a lot better than him here.
Midnight Charlie is the number 6. This horse tried Renze Fire in the Fabulous Strike Stakes at Penn National last time out. He gave a good go of it. He made a run. He finished second. From a buyer speed figure standpoint, he's very light compared to some of the others, and he's just going to have to do a lot better.
Yeah, just in a very tough spot here. He doesn't seem like a grade 1 horse, and obviously Renze Fire, he never even got a look at that horse last time.
American Anthem tried to stretch his speed to a mile last time out. That's a little far for him. That was in the stymie when he chased Diamond King in vain. We're going to take a look at that race right now. American Anthem has a look at this thing turning into the lane, Mike, and he just doesn't go by. And it's becoming a bit of a habit for this horse. He does have some ability. You have to go back a couple of years where he has races that are really fast enough to compete. I don't know. I'm starting to get a little tired of his act. I'm not sure he's a grade 1 horse right now.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I actually really liked him in this race here, the stymie, and I didn't think he ran that well. I mean, he obviously ran fine to be second, but I didn't think he ran that well. It didn't make me want to bet him back in a race like this.
Bon Raison really likes Belmont Park. He's the kind of horse where if you give him a good trip scenario, he's going to fire for you. His last win, however, came back in October in a race where he just controlled things up front in a short field. Last time out was a little bit of an improvement off the claim in the Tom Fool, but he's got to find some lengths on Mind Control. Mind Control has his number so far.
Yeah, I mean, listen, he's just not really this kind of horse. He has outrun his odds several times in the past. He's very versatile. As far as running style goes, as far as distance goes, he can do a lot of different things. He's just not really a graded stakes horse.
I think Majestic Dunhill's a bit of a sleeper in here. He's another horse that needs pace. He's kind of like Nitrous. He's kind of like Still Having Fun. He doesn't have a lot of early speed, but George Weaver doesn't always have these horses cranked and ready to go off the layoff, and he ran him off the bench last time out at Gulfstream going 7, and we're going to watch this race. He didn't break very well. He fell far behind, and he was last early, and he's going to come with a decent run to finish 3rd. There were some okay horses in this race, maybe no stars. Global Campaign's fine. Yorkton, I don't think, has still won a race on dirt, but he's been in good form over the winter at Gulfstream. Majestic Dunhill ran all right in this race. I think he can move forward. Whether it's enough to win, I'm not sure, but maybe he can get a piece.
Yeah, I can see him taking a step forward here too. Another horse, I just don't like his running style, Dan. It's interesting because he's been fine since they switched him over to dirt. I actually prefer him as a turf sprinter, and they actually have him entered in a turf sprint at Belmont on Sunday. So I wonder if they'll await that spot.
Mind Control is one of the most underrated horses in the game right now. I think he has been managed superbly by trainer Greg Sacco ever since day one. A lot of people forget this horse won the Grade 1 Hopeful as a 2-year-old. They tried him in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. It didn't work out. And even after he won his first start as a 3-year-old in the Jerome, Sacco said he's a one-turn horse. I'm not getting the Derby fever. And look how it's paid off. wins in the Allen Jerkins, the Toboggan, and the Tom Fool. Not only has he been managed well, but this horse has a will of iron. He wants to beat you. Let's watch his performance in the Tom Fool last time out, where he was a little bit further back than expected in the early portion of this race, Mike, but he is so game to win. Look how far back he is, and he wins it easy.
Yeah, this is a tremendous performance. He's going to erase a huge deficit here in the last eighth of a mile. A really impressive win. The only reason that I can think of, Dan, that this horse, as you said, remains underrated is because he doesn't have the flashy speed figures. He does what is required of him to win races. You can put him anywhere on the track and he will run his race. He's just a really cool horse, and I think he's going to be very tough to beat in here.
And Vekoma on the far outside. He's always hinted at talent. He won the Grade 3 Nashua at a mile as a 2-year-old. He won the Bluegrass at 3. Unfortunately, he got hurt after the Kentucky Derby. I like that George Weaver turned him back to 7 furlongs for his seasonal debut. Let's watch the Sir Shackleton. He broke very well in this race, took up a tracking position. That's Yorkton at 20-1, who's turning into the lead in front. And Vekoma has to work a little bit to beat Yorkton, who's mostly a synthetic horse, but I thought off the layoff, the long layoff, this was a good, solid prep for the Carter. He doesn't have the best way of going. He is an awful paddler. That 102 Beyer speed figure, though, that catches the eye. And I think he's fast enough where he can get a good spot in this race, especially if there's no pace.
Listen, I agree with all that stuff. I actually prefer him as a one-turn horse, at least for now. He came off the layoff with a big 102 Beyer last time. Now, listen, the Sir Shackleton, he had the run of the race, tracking a dirt maiden in Yorkton, and there were no closers in there. So it's not like, I wasn't blown away by the performance, but he did, I think, what you wanted to see him do. Take a big step forward as a 4-year-old. And I think they're running him back in the perfect race, Dan. 7 furlongs, a Grade 1. He fits very well off that figure last time.
And let's take a look at our top picks for the Grade 1 Carter. You can go so many different ways, but I think we just went with the big 4. We've got the same super, just in a different order. Performer, I think, is the most upside of any horse in this race, and I'm really excited to see what Shug does with him, whether he keeps him sprinting, running him in races like the Met Mile, or eventually stretches him out, because right now it looks like he's versatile enough to do anything. It'll just be interesting to see what we get off the layoff, but if Shug's running him in a Grade 1, I'm guessing he's cranked.
That's what I thought too. We'll see what kind of price he is as well, because it sort of feels like he's the kind of who could be overbet in this race, and that wouldn't thrill me. I still put him on top, Dan. I thought long and hard about just sticking with Firenze Fire because I just think he's a top dirt sprinter. We'll see what happens with him. They're my main 2, though.
I'm going with Vekoma. I think he'll be the 4th choice of the 4. I think that Mind Control, just his W's speak for themselves. Performer, his potential speaks for itself. And Firenze Fire has just been a good horse for a very long time. We'll see how good Vekoma is. Again, this is a big step up. That Sir Shackleton was not a strong field, but I like the way he did it. And I think the price will be okay. Same super, different order. 2, 1, 10, 11 for Mike. 11, 2, 1, 10 for me. The Grade 1 Runhappy Carter Handicap has an approximate post time of 5:36 Eastern. Good luck.